And welcome back to the Germantown campus of Montgomery College. Michael Brown alongside my partner Marcus Rosano, and we are just about ready to get game 2 of our doubleheader underway. For those of you who are just joining us, Montgomery College took the opener 10-4 over Burlington. So MC obviously looking for a sweep here in the second game, and the Barons from Burlington will no doubt do everything they can to make sure that doesn't happen. The Raptors are out on the field, so let's take a quick look at the lineup for the Burlington County College Barons here in Game 2.
And again, batting first, leading off for Burlington is Eddie Stiles at shortstop. Batting second, center fielder Taylor Zachman. Batting third, the right fielder Dante Key. And batting cleanup, catcher John McGugan, who hit a home run in Game 1 of the doubleheader. Patrick Hayduke is batting fifth, first base. And batting sixth, Chris Reyes is the DH in the second game. Tyler Wolf is batting seventh. He's a left fielder. Gene Mejia is playing second base in Game 2 of the doubleheader. He's batting eighth, and batting ninth is the third baseman, Tim Kemmerly.
And, of course, the head coach for Burlington is Scott Kanazik. He's in his third year. We'll set the defense after the first pitch. But we're ready to get underway here with Andy McWilliams on the mound for Montgomery College. And there's Stiles. He pops it up, the very first pitch of the game, over in foul territory. And a nice play there.
Michael Kuda.
Second baseman.
He came out of, that's covering a lot of ground, Michael Kuda. He caught that in foul ground from the second base spot.
He sure did.
And in Game 1, we saw a lot of trouble with the pop-ups by the first baseman trying to get there. It's nice to see Kuda take charge.
So there's the defense for the Raptors. Andy McWilliams pitching, Gerald Smith at catcher, Sean Spots at first base for the Raptors. Those are some new names. Webb, number 34, William Webb, is in center field. That's a new name that we didn't see in the first half. Sean Spots is at first base. He did not play in the first game. And Ortiz, number 22, Antonio Ortiz is at shortstop in the second game. So got a lot of new faces out there in the second game for Montgomery College. Also, Joe Coleman, number 4, one of our old buddies from last year.
It's a veteran, Joe Coleman.
Yep, Joe Coleman in right field, number 4. There's a ground ball to Kuda. He scoops it up and over to Spots for the second out. So Andy McWilliams off to a great start. Andy is the one and only returning starting pitcher from last year's Raptors team. But he hasn't pitched much this season so far. If the stats that I have are correct, he's only pitched 2 innings so far this season. But again, it's been a crazy first month. There's a hard ground ball to Ortiz. Nice play, and very nice play there by Ortiz.
Very nice pick. That was a hard liner, and he caught a nice hop, but he caught it right in his belly and made a sweet throw to first base.
So a 1-2-3 top of the first inning for Andy McWilliams, and he only threw about 6 pitches. So
if we keep talking about efficient, that's about as good as it gets.
Boy, Dan Rasher, the head coach of the Raptors, has got to be loving that one. So let's take a look at the Raptors batting lineup here as we get ready for the bottom half of the first inning.
Leading off, DHing Antonio Pino. Batting second, right fielder Joey Coleman. Batting third, left fielder Tyler Coleman. Batting cleanup, third baseman Nick Panafala. And batting fifth, Michael Kuda, the second baseman. And batting sixth, William Webb playing center field. Batting seventh, Sean Spots at first base. Batting eighth, Gerald Smith, he's the catcher. And as we just talked about, Antonio Ortiz, he bats ninth and he plays shortstop.
And, of course, Burlington now is out there, and their starting pitcher is Emmanuel Pantaleone, and his batting, his catcher is going to be McGugan, who had a big first game in the opener for Burlington. Other new faces that we'll see out there in this second game at first base, we've got Hayduke. Patrick Haydock at first. He did not play in the first game. We have a new DH in the second game. It's Chris Reyes. Number 14, Tyler Wolf, did not play in the first game. He'll be in left field. Number 6, Tim Kemmerly, is going to be at third base. He did not play in the first game. So a lot of new faces for both teams in both halves of our doubleheader.
And the pitcher, number 44, the lefty, Emmanuel Pantaleon, on the mound for Burlington.
So a lefty. Montgomery College has no lefties on their pitching staff this year. And, you know, left-handers, very valuable. And here's Antonio Pino to lead things off for the Raptors. He had a nice first game.
Yeah, he
played
really
second
did.
base.
He was in the middle of a lot of the action in that 8-run explosion for Montgomery College.
He played second base in the first game. He's DHing in the second. So, once again, the Raptors took the opener, 10-4. They were trailing going into the bottom of the fifth, and then they just stormed back with 8 runs in the bottom of the fifth to take the lead and ultimately the game.
Whew.
And Pino goes down on a breaking ball from Pantaleone.
Yeah, that was a nasty pitch. I'm not sure what that pitch was.
So Emmanuel Pantaleone, he is a freshman. And here's Joe Coleman. He had a big part in that big victory last year over Hagerstown, one of the most exciting games we've ever had the opportunity to call. He played a real key role in that comeback win last year.
And how long did that game go?
That game went over 9 innings.
It did go over 9
innings.
innings.
Yes, it did. It actually went 14 innings. It's gone down in Montgomery College television lore.
Yeah, we were pushing darkness on that game.
And the conclusion of that game was one of the most exciting you'll ever see when Greg Turlick beat out that infield hit to allow the winning run to score. I believe it was Joe Coleman that scored the winning run.
I think he did.
And there was timeout. Timeout called before the pitch. Pantaleone is a big guy. Got a broad back there, big guy. Number 44. Throws hard. Got a little bit of a flourish out there.
Yeah, he does. He does have some flair.
And
got a little bit of that Jose Valverde.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He is an innings eater for this team so far. He's being talked to by the umpire. There could be an issue with where his foot not having proper contact with the rubber, perhaps. But I can't imagine what else it would be. Pantaleone has thrown 22 innings so far this season. That's the leader on the staff for Burlington. Breaking pitch outside.
Coleman laid off that.
It was tempting.
Breaking ball.
So 2 balls, 2 strikes. We're in the bottom of the first inning, and we are scoreless. There's a ground ball to second. Should be in a routine play, and it is for out number 2. So 2 up, 2 down.
Now we have batting third, Tyler Coleman, who again in the first game was a catalyst to that big inning. I mean, he dropped down another bunt. He actually did that twice. It was sort of a drag bunt from the right side. And he was really in the middle of a lot of things going on in the Game 1 victory. Tyler Coleman, I mean, he's got talent all over the place. You could just tell.
Scored a run as well. So he had a big part in that inning, as you said. Played a very solid left field for the Raptors as well. So 2 outs in the bottom of the first. And he gets a piece of it. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Pantaleon brings a lot to the mound, and I'm not just talking about the size of the kid. That's a big kid, but he's got some nasty stuff. He throws hard, and he's got a couple of different breaking pitches.
And Coleman gets a hold of that one and hits it deep, and
fair ball.
A fair ball. And Coleman cruises into second, thought about third, but gets back. As Coleman, a 2-out double. And you hit the nail on the head with this kid. He looks like a ball player. Boy, nice swing. Nice, easy swing all the way down into the corner.
Almost got out of here.
He almost took too big of a turn there.
And the wind has actually shifted from game 1. It was blowing probably from left to right, and right now the flag, the right center field flag, is blowing a little bit towards left field.
Well, here's Nick Ponifala, who was the winning pitcher in the first game. Came in relief of John Maloney and pitched 4 scoreless innings.
Oh, he did a great job.
Yeah.
All he did was throw strikes.
So he's at third base in the nightcap here, and he is normally that is his position, but looks like we're going to see him on the hill a little bit this year. So the Raptors, after 2 up and 2 down, have a man on scoring position with 2 outs and a 3-0 count now on Ponifala, with Michael Kuda on deck. Ponifala taking all the way. There's the pitch, and right on the outside corner.
Boy, what a big weekend this would be for the Raptors, this young Raptors team. If they could somehow get out of this game with a victory, you go 4 for 4 on your first sort of official home stand. You know, they haven't really played a lot of baseball here in Maryland, and here you are. You hosted Prince George's Community College, one of your Maryland JUCO rivals, yesterday. Took the doubleheader, took the top half of a doubleheader against Burlington, and now here you are, ready to go 4 for 4 on a weekend at home, and that's big for a young team.
It sure is. Should really be a confidence booster. Should they pull it off? We got a long way to go, though.
Yeah.
As Nick Ponifala puts one out on observation drive. So, 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and Tyler Coleman at second base. Late swing, and he foul tips it. Stays alive. And Nick Ponifala, of course, has been looking to get that bat heated up. There's Pantaleon's payoff pitch, and it's fouled back again. So Ponifala making him work. And he walks him. That curve just didn't get down. So that brings up number 11, Michael Kuda, who's playing second base in this game. Has already made a nice play.
Oh, yeah. Nice opportunity for young Mr. Kuda here to get himself an RBI.
He's a freshman out of Quince Orchard High School.
One of the only players on the team with a home run this season.
Of course, we saw Nick Kozarski hit one out in the opener for Montgomery College. There's a foul right back at us. So Michael Kuda, a 273 hitter so far this season.
Nice setup from Pantaleone.
So he's quickly ahead in the count, 0-2.
That fastball, the first pitch one fastball was sort of hard and on the outside corner, and then he slowed it down with a curveball.
Raptors looking to jump out in front quickly here in the second game. 2 on, 2 outs. No balls and 2 strikes to Kuda. Pantaleone trying to get out of it. Out of the stretch. High. So yeah, I'm reading through the, well, we'll talk about this after this pitch.
Whew.
Oh my gosh, I don't know how you take that one. And with 2 strikes. Wow. Well, maybe that's the 18-year-old eyes versus my vintage eyes, shall we say.
That was close.
That was close.
May have just come a little inside on the curveball. They're working him inside again. Oh.
And that time he got him climbing the ladder there for the 3rd strike and the 3rd out of the inning. So after 1 complete, we are scoreless. And Marcus, you know, sadly over the last couple of months, Montgomery College has lost 2 athletic Hall of Famers. Tom Bickey and Frank Toomey both recently passed away. Professor Emeritus Frank Toomey was at Montgomery College. There you see him in the middle holding the trophy. He was in the college for over 20 years, started as an assistant football coach, then he was the head football coach, but where he really made his mark was as a golf coach. And he was one of the finest golf coaches in NJCAA history. His teams won 56 dual matches and lost just 20. And he was an athletic Hall of Famer, and sadly he just passed away. And then just a couple of weeks before that, Tom Bickey, the legendary Tom Bickey, who dedicated 37 years of his life to Montgomery College as a physical education professor, a head soccer coach, and he was athletic director of the Rockville campus for 24 years. When he retired in 2004, he had 471 career wins as a soccer coach. That placed him first on the all-time NJCAA list. And 10 years later now, he is still 3rd all-time. So anyway, back in 2004 when he did retire, I had a chance to talk to Tom Bickey, and he reflected on his career as a soccer coach here at MC.
My wife was from Montgomery County. I was from Frederick County. We were looking maybe to go anywhere for a job that would lead me to probably a head baseball job. That was the ultimate. If I couldn't play in the major leagues, let's be a college baseball coach. So I'd gone to get my master's degree, and I was doing all the things they told me to do. So I land here, and the guy says, "You're going to be assistant baseball coach." Great. You're going to teach physical education. Great. Okay, and you're also going to be the head soccer coach. And I go, whoa, wait a minute. I don't know anything about soccer other than seeing a little bit at Maryland. But 37 years later, I'm still coaching soccer. So what do you say?
Well, that is classic Tom Bickey right there, and I love that reaction because he truly did not know anything about soccer, and he went out. He had this tremendous work ethic. He went out. He taught himself the game. He went to clinics. He went to coaching school, and he ended up first on the all-time list in the NJCAA when he retired. As we have a error there on
Nick Ponifala read the wrong hop. And, about Tom Bickey, and I started here in 2008, and one of the first names that you sort of realize as you start to become, accustomed to the staff, being a staffer, and me being so interested in sports, was the name of Tom Bickey. And just by listening to people, talking to people, you just kind of understand how important that name was to Montgomery in college. And talk about, is there a definition of student of the game? The guy teaches himself to become one of the best NJCAA soccer coaches of all time.
And when
it's remarkable.
A remarkable career, a wonderful guy, wonderful family. I knew him well. And when he retired, the Montgomery College Board of Trustees, they named him Professor Emeritus. They gave him the silver medallion, and they created a scholarship in his name. So, wonderful man, and we're going to miss both Tom Bickey and Frank Toomey very much. They contributed so much to the history of Montgomery College and Montgomery College athletics. So, back to the baseball. We are now in the top of the second, one out, and runner on first for Burlington, courtesy of an error, and number 25 at the plate, and that is Chris Reyes. He did not play in the first game, and he is the DH here in the second game. So Chris Reyes up at the plate. Man on first, nobody out. There's strike three, and of course you cannot advance to first when there's a runner on first. So that's an out. Got a new catcher here in the second game for the Raptors. It's Gerald Smith. And Gerald is number 15. He is a Magruder grad. Got several Magruder grads on this team, and a business major. He has a pretty interesting bio. He loves producing music, and he talked about his Ignite business. I don't know what that is. You probably know something about that.
I do not. I was reading that in the notes, and I do not know what Ignite is.
So I don't know if it's one of these startup deals or what's the startup deal where you advertise for basically people to send you money to get your – there's something like that out there on the web now too.
Well, he's the one who's eyeing the Smith School of Business.
No, that is actually Sean Whalen.
Oh, Sean Whalen's going to Smith. Okay.
Yeah. No, Gerald would his future plans are he'd like to continue at a 4-year school while growing my Ignite business. So we're going to have to look into that, find out what that's all about. We'll talk to him. And my partner, Marcus Rosano, with his handy smartphone, is going to look it up for us. And that ball gets away, and the runner advances to second base. So up right now is Tyler Wolf for Burlington. He did not play in the first game either. And they thought maybe he had swung, which is why they tagged him. But he did not go around. So, 2 outs. Top of the second. Breaking ball stays high.
But that's one of the most interesting aspects of our job is reading the notes after you interview these players and just getting a little bit, behind the athletes and into the person and what these guys like.
There's a pop-up foul, and that's going to be out of play. Going to clear the fence.
I mean, a couple of guys like William Webb, what are your hobbies? He likes playing baseball, playing video games, going to college, and hanging out with girls. It's like, all right, I like being 19.
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't we all want hobbies like that?
But to be a college student and a student athlete, that's about as good as it gets.
Oh, yeah. No matter what the level, and this is a great level here, a great stepping stone, and, of course, Maryland JUCO, the competition in Maryland JUCO Region 20 throughout the NJCAA is high quality. And there is strike three. So, McWilliams. And that is the end of the top half of the second inning, and we are scoreless. So You know, one of the things that we talked about a little bit in the first game was how the Raptors have had trouble getting games in, but if it hadn't been for their trip to Florida about 2 weeks ago, they'd have even fewer games in because every year this team goes down to Florida. And when they got back, I talked to Dan Rasher, the head coach of the Raptors, about how the trip went. And here's what he had to tell me.
It went great. We played 7 games. We played 2 ranked teams. We played Niagara. We started the week with Niagara. We split with them, and we ended the week playing Waubonsee, and we split with them. So we got 7 games in, which was very important because we had only played 2 up until then. And the kids got together, and they had a really good week, and our team kind of came together. It was a successful week.
Well, you know, they raise the money for this trip themselves. They do all kinds of fundraisers. They do clinics. They sell the banners that you see on the outfield walls, and then each of the kids kicks in some money of their own. But it really is a worthwhile trip for the team.
And this is spring break for them, and their classmates that aren't involved in sports are going to Florida for obviously for other reasons for spring break. They're taking their spring break and they're playing baseball. And as you saw the Coach Rasher saying, they only had played 2 games, and when you look at the other teams that they were playing down there, some teams were 20-5. They've had already played 25 games, and here you are, going down to Florida with 2 games under your belt. They really needed that baseball, to be played, and it was really important for getting these guys. And again, they talk about the camaraderie, the coming together of these young guys to work towards becoming an actual team.
Well, Dan Rasher is, every year that he's gone down, we always talk about it, and he says, this trip is a bit of a risk because it can make or break your team in a lot of ways. Do they come together, or spending that kind of concentrated amount of time together, living, sharing a room with a guy you may not know that well, is there's hit by pitch, and William Webb will go to first. But he said this team really bonded down there. And he felt very good about the way things went, not just on the baseball side, but on the personal side as well. And they did well on the baseball side. They played 2 teams that are ranked in the national top 10, and they split 4 games with those 2 teams. So he was very pleased.
And Burlington was down there playing some of the same teams as well.
That's true. That's true. A lot of teams go down there. So this brings up Sean Spots, the first baseman, and he is a West Virginia guy from Shenandoah Junction. Actually transferred to MC from Bethany College.
And has aspirations of going back to a 4-year school.
And at first base, of course, who was hit by the pitch is your buddy William Webb, who has the great hobbies. There's a breaking pitch, and that caught the plate.
I'm sure the majority of the Raptors team has those hobbies, but not everybody is as honest as Mr. Webb in telling you those hobbies.
We did get a lot of Xbox.
But they always say, and this isn't just a coined answer, it's like the best part about, being on the Montgomery College baseball team is the camaraderie, and it's hanging out with the guys. And at this age, and that's number one. And being competitive as well, winning.
They love that. You see 2 themes through these bios about what they like most. One is, like you said, the teammates, being a part of a team, competing as a team, and he went around. And the other part that you see is just how great it is to play baseball at the college level, and they just love it. Who wouldn't? That brings up Gerald Smith, guy we were just talking about with the Ignite business. We're going to find out about that. And he takes high, ball 1. Pantaleone has some giddy up on that fastball.
Yes, he does.
Throwing hard out there. Man on first, 1 out. Man on first is William Webb, and he's running, and he got a great jump. The ball goes into center field, but he's not going to advance as it was backed up. And we got catcher or batter interference being called. And, yeah, he got in the way of the throw.
You know, I was wondering what took the catcher so long getting the ball out of his glove. Is he sort of had to dance around Gerald Smith.
So it was certainly unintentional on Gerald Smith's part. But now we have 2 outs as he was swinging and lost his balance a little bit, which carried him over the plate, which interfered with the throw. So he is out. There's a pop-up, and it's caught in foul ground, but that is the 3rd out of the inning. So after 2.5 innings of play, we are scoreless. So what we're seeing today is, we talked about this in the opener too, what we're seeing today is a little bit of pitching by the committee by the Raptors. And, you know, it kind of ties into what we want to talk about next, which is really, like you said in the opening for the doubleheader, this is like a completely new pitching staff for the Raptors, just one returning pitcher. So when I talked to Dan Rasher just the other day, I asked him, I said, you've got a young pitching staff. How do you think they're going to do?
We're going to be young, but we've got a number of very capable pitchers that are going to have to grow up on the mound. They're going to have to get out and do it and learn, and you know, that's why we play 50 games. So hopefully a couple guys step to the front and turn into some pretty good pitchers by the end of the year.
Based on yesterday's doubleheader sweep and so far what we've seen today, I'd say he's got some pretty lively arms out there.
Yeah, he threw Humbertson and Gill against PG yesterday, and they did fantastic. And you said it was two complete games from Humbertson and Gill. And when you have a team that's facing, 4 doubleheaders in the next week or so, getting complete games is unbelievably valuable. So he must have been, you know, ecstatic over those pitching performances by Humbertson and Gill. And then today, obviously you have your sort of veteran, I guess you would call him, but he's only thrown 2 innings all year in Andy McWilliams. And in the first game, John Maloney, you see Panafala making the strong throw to get the out. But the first game, Maloney kept everybody in the game, and Panafala came in and cleaned it up, and then you just waited around. You had an explosion of 8 runs, and you get a victory. So there's going to be things like that. But to have the anchors like they did yesterday with Gill and Humbertson, I think you could start right there and build your staff, you know, on the outside of Humbertson and Gill.
So he's got young pitchers, and of course he's got a brand new pitching coach this year, Tyler Klitsch. But knowing Dan as I do, he's kind of got his hands in the works too. Of course, he took over as pitching coach last year after the unfortunate passing of Duck Lee. So there's another line shot right at Panafala, and he has no problem making that out number 2. That's why they call it the hot corner. And that brings up Styles. So we've gone through the order now. We're back to the leadoff position, and Styles leading off. I'm sorry. So that ball gets away, but it's ball 1. 2 outs.
Mr. McWilliams doesn't take too much time out on the mound as well. That's a good thing when we're doing a doubleheader.
He's very efficient.
And again, it's pitching to contact. He's not going to overpower you.
And there's the 3rd one to Panafala. So I'll tell you, all 3 outs to Panafala there at third base, and he handles them all flawlessly. So a 1-2-3 inning for Montgomery College, as we're going to take one more look at that one.
Nice play, Panafala. 1-2-3.
Nick Panafala. And so 1-2-3. So after 2.5 innings of play, we are scoreless, and we'll be right back with the bottom of the 3rd after this. You're watching Montgomery College Baseball on MCTV.
No matter where you're headed, no matter what your age, you'll find it all here at Montgomery College. Small class sizes, over 130 programs of study. Nationally ranked NJCAA athletics. Register today.
And we are back for the bottom of the third inning. We're coming to you from the Germantown campus of Montgomery College. Michael Brown alongside Marcus Rosano. And so far we are scoreless. And there is a great shot. There's some All-American names there from the recent history of Montgomery College baseball. That is quite an impressive list.
And you saw the capital A next to Justin Sawyer. It's next to his name out there, and the A stands for academic, and that's always a good thing to see, as you could see those again. Academic All-Americans.
A lot of great names there. Remember these guys. I'll tell you, good work.
And we have, I don't know if we should say it, but we have an old-fashioned pitcher's duel going on.
We got us a pitcher's duel as number 2, Antonio Pino, is leading off the bottom of the third. He is the DH and, of course, the leadoff hitter.
And he was the victim of a strikeout in his first at-bat.
And he is swung and missed on that one, so he's still ahead in the count, 2-1. Good Counsel High School freshman.
Some good sports come out of Good Counsel High School, as everybody knows.
For sure. And there have been some great ones over the years here at Montgomery College who have come out. One of the names we just saw up there on the All-American wall, Tim Park, one of the finest players I've ever seen here. He was a Good Counsel grad. And then eventually played his 4-year ball at William and Mary, where he set several records down there in his 4-year career.
Pino managed to bring the count full. Nice way to battle back in this at-bat.
And he's going to get a free pass as Pantaleone really overthrew that one. I don't know what that was all about other than showing off the arm. So that brings Joe Coleman to the plate as Pino draws the leadoff walk. And what are the odds on that one? When the leadoff walk gets on, it's a very high percentage of the time they will come around to score.
They've got to be extra careful with the lefty, though. You can't get that super lead like they were. I mean, they were testing Bell in the first game. Actually, both teams were in throwovers and throwovers. Here you got to be really careful.
Yeah, base running was a big part of the first game as the Raptors, and he's going to get into second standing up, as that's going to be a pass ball. Could be a wild pitch. It was way outside, so that would be an official scorer's call.
Yeah, I'm giving it a wild pitch.
Yeah, I think so too. Let's take another look. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's way outside. Now, so that's a wild pitch, and that puts Pino on second. So the Raptors with a runner in scoring position and Joe Coleman up.
Let's see if we get the small ball again. You know Coleman can lay a bunt down.
Absolutely, and it wouldn't shock me. And he does. He shows bunt.
Ooh.
Takes a strike. Ooh, that was low.
That was a nice pitch by Pantaleone.
Tough pitch to bunt.
It really was.
And there's another great shot of Joe Coleman. Once again provided by Paul Steinitz, who I think might be in the right-handed batter's box. He's so close. No, he's not. Now I can see that he's not. Joe Coleman, another Magruder grad, as the Colonels are well represented on the Raptors teams. Of course, we have a couple of Magruder grads on the MCTV crew. We got Dr. John Watson in the truck.
Ah.
Yeah. And we have Angela Dale here in the booth, one of our official scorers is a Magruder grad. Known to her friends as Midge.
John Watson. John Watson is a proud member of the Montgomery College Green Team.
Yes, he is. And when I think ecology and recycling, I think John Watson. I think it might be his middle name. John Ecology Watson.
John Watson is definitely a sustainable man.
He is. So Joe Coleman walks. So back-to-back walks, and with nobody out, that brings up Tyler Coleman.
One thing that we've noticed about Pantaleone, he's a little excitable, just like the Jose Valverde in the major leagues.
So now he's in a little bit of trouble.
He's in some trouble, you're right.
Tyler Coleman had a hard hit double down the left field line in the first inning. And so Pantaleone has to be careful. Having a little trouble with the strike zone right now, and he's already behind on the count. 1 ball, no strikes to Coleman. That dicks the inside corner. That was an impossible pitch to hit. And there's a shot out to left, and it drops. And they had to hold up because there was a chance that the left fielder could have caught that ball. So Pino had to hold up a little bit. And he's now at third base, where he's having a little chat with Dan Rasher, who may not have agreed with that decision. Anyway, the bases are loaded now.
Well, you know, he went halfway, and I think Dan probably wanted him to go a little bit farther down the baseline. But you know, that's a single and a double for Coleman. The top of this lineup is really going to cause some headaches for the other team. Whether it be Velez at the top, but you have Pino, Coleman, Velez.
They can all put the bat on the ball, and that brings up Panafala. Nick Panafala had a great last half inning at third base, made all 3 putouts.
Just needs to put the ball in play, get a run in.
And there's a wild pitch, and actually it hits Panafala. So Pino will score the easy way. Panafala pays the price. And so it's now 1-0 Raptors. The hard way for Nick Panafala anyway. And you don't want to be hit, particularly Nick, who had the trouble with the ankle last year.
Yep.
So we get a visit to the mound by Mike Hines, the pitching coach for Burlington, because all of a sudden Pantaleone is having control issues.
We've got walk, single, hit by pitch. Now you still have bases loaded, 1 run in, and nobody out.
Nobody out. So.
And Michael Kuda, eyes wide, with a chance to really help the Raptors out with this at bat.
So this is the kind of inning that the Burlington head coach Scott Kanazik was worried about. And they play well, and then he says there's a bad inning. Now, last game it was the 5th, and I'm sure he's hoping that it's not the 3rd in this game.
You know, when this inning started, you saw what I did there, right? About talking about this being a pitcher's duel.
Yeah, you put the kibosh on that, didn't you? There's a strike.
It would have been a nice day to have the Raptor out here.
It sure would be. It would. The Raptor costume would get dirty out here, though. You know?
It would. We have to get him some sort of booties for those Talon feet.
And their pickoff. Oh, my gosh. They got they draw the throw home. He scores. And so they decoyed the throw to first. They tried to go home, and Joe Coleman slides in ahead of the throw for the second run of the game.
And they didn't get Ponifala. They did not get the out.
No, so they did not get the out. So a bit of baseline chicanery there for the Raptors brings home the second run.
And yeah, Joe Coleman was taken off as soon as he saw the pickoff and the attempted pickle there. Joe Coleman was gone.
So Kuda now has runners at second and third
with first base open,
and he strikes out. So that's the first out of the inning.
Well, that's a huge strikeout for Pantaleon.
Boy, he needed that with 2 runners in scoring position, 2 runs in, and that brings up William Webb, who's a .312 hitter on the season. Hasn't had too many at bats, but hitting .312, and he's got ducks on the pond. He hits it out into center field.
That ball's getting down,
and it got down, and it'll score 1 run as Coleman comes in.
You know, I know it's early, but you had first base open, and you could have been a little bit more careful with William Webb, and you had the lefty coming up, and you would have had lefty on lefty, and Sean Spots didn't look good in his first at-bat against Pantaleon. But he pitched it. He gave him a fastball right down the pipe, and William Webb fought it off and put it in center field for an RBI.
So that makes it 3-0 Raptors, and that brings up Sean Spots, who did strike out his first time up. So lefty against lefty here, as Spots is a lefty and Pantaleone a lefty. So now you have Webb at first, who does have 1 steal on the season so far. So there he goes, and he's got a huge jump and no throw. So once again, the Raptors are creating havoc on the base paths here, and it's kind of turning the game. You can feel it happening again as Burlington, who, boy, they are really in now. The infield is really in,
which to me is an absolute surprise, because if you get beat, your infielders are in. And if you slap one into left field by these guys, that's 2 runs. But if you play back and play for the out, then you're only allowing 1 run if you look at it that way. I'm surprised that they're in.
There's a pop foul and out of play on the third base side.
I mean, it's 3-0, and you're acting like it's 1. It's acting like it's 1-0. It's really not. This ball gets by these guys who are very close to the batter.
They're on the grass.
They're playing on the grass, and it's 2 runs.
So Sean Spots with a big opportunity, and he strikes out. He did not get a piece of it. Thought he might have gotten a piece of it. So that brings up Gerald Smith.
And everybody goes back to their normal positions.
So now they'll go back to normal depth. Gerald Smith, of course, was out his first time up on an unintentional batter interference.
That's 6 strikeouts for Pantaleon already.
Wow. And we're only in the 3rd inning. So it's been feast or famine here. He throws hard. He's got a lot of emotion out there on the mound.
And 5 guys have gotten on by way of walk or hit by pitch. So you're right, feast or famine indeed.
That's been his undoing, are the walks.
And this umpire number 2 is not as liberal with his strike zone, I'm noticing, as the first umpire was. And that happens. I mean, it is what it is. You get used to the strike zone.
So 3-0 Raptors. Bottom of the 3rd inning.
And Pantaleon wanted that pitch as well.
He's behind the count, 2-0. On deck for the Raptors, number 22, Antonio Ortiz. And there's a called strike. So 3-1. Of course, Smith taking all the way with the count 3-0. And there's ball 4. So Pantaleone with another walk, and that brings up Ortiz with the bases loaded and 2 outs. Nowhere to put him.
Big spot for Antonio Ortiz here.
He's seen limited action so far this season, only 3 at-bats, has yet to get a hit. So this is a big spot for him. And he takes strike 1. And Ortiz is a Rockville High School grad, business major, and he takes it ball inside. Another freshman on a roster chock with freshmen. High. So here we go.
Says he wants to use his degree to own a baseball facility to help young players develop as players. Talk about a dream come true, huh?
Boy, that'd be awesome. That would be awesome. And ball low. So Pantaleone with no place to put Ortiz. As the bases are full, he's run the count to 3-1.
I'd like to see Mr. Ortiz with the green light.
And he takes a strike. So the count runs full. 3-2, 2 outs, bases loaded. Raptors with 3 runs in so far in the bottom of the 3rd inning.
Well, I think Antonio's going to see the same exact pitch.
Here it comes, and it was, and he fouls it out of play on the first base side. So he stays alive.
I think Antonio's a little behind the fastball. He popped out to the right fielder in his first at bat, and he was a little behind on that fastball. See if he can just choke up a tad.
And there's a ground ball up the middle, off the glove. Second baseman throws it away. And there's another run scores as Webb scores. So that is an out-and-out error on a routine play. And
yeah, and Gerald Smith has to go back to 3rd.
But they are going to award second base to Ortiz. So a certain 3rd out, which would have gotten Pantaleone and the Barons out of the inning.
Yeah.
They gave him an out. And
Mejia at second base, Gene Mejia, he had time, and he sort of sidearmed the ball. And first baseman had no chance.
So we are back up at the top of the order now for the Raptors. Antonio Pino up for his 3rd time in the ball game. And you still have runners at 2nd and 3rd. So this has turned into a long inning for Emmanuel Pantaleone. He's contributed to some of the problems himself with the walks and the hit batters. But that definitely should have been the 3rd out of the inning on the grounder. He fought that foul ball off and knocks it out of play on the first base side. So no balls and 1 strike.
And again, Kanazik's worst nightmares come true in game 2. The wheels fell off, and it's not just a physical thing; it's a mental thing for his team, and it's happening again. I mean, he just cannot put it, wrap his head around why this is happening to the Barons ball club.
And there's a hard shot into left field. That's a clean base hit. Gerald Smith scores. They're going to hold the runner at 3rd as that ball got out to left field in no time.
Yeah, that was a great piece of hitting by Antonio Pino.
And we're going to get another look at that.
Oh, his head was right down on that ball.
Boy, he just pulled it back and smashed it into left field for a clean base hit and the 6th run of the inning for Montgomery College. And there is action out there in the bullpen for Burlington. Cannot see who it is at the moment, but there is action out there. It's a long way away, and we're looking through the fencing as well. So that brings Coleman to the plate, and there's a steal, and they almost got the runner at third. So runners at second and third now. It's a nice throw by McGugan to try to get the runner at third. So Joe Coleman with an RBI opportunity. There's a strike.
Well, coming into this inning, there were no runs and 2 hits in the game.
That's changed a little bit.
And I don't have time to count these up between pitches.
As the Raptors have put a 6th spot up on the board. And Coleman pops it on the third baseline, and it's out of play. Not a whole lot of foul territory on the third baseline here. A ton on the first baseline. One ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Here's the pitch, way high. I'm not sure why he would have gone breaking ball there. His hard stuff has been much more effective. High. He's thrown a lot of pitches this inning, Marcus. A lot of pitches. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 on. 6 in for the Raptors here in the bottom of the third. And strike 3 to Joe Coleman. So that ends the bottom half of the third inning, but not before the Raptors put a 6th spot on the board. So after 3 complete innings of play, Montgomery College on top of Burlington 6-0. Marcus and I will be right back with the top of the 4th. After this, you're watching Montgomery College baseball on MCTV.
One word to describe Montgomery College: awesome.
Interesting.
Fun.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Inspirational.
Spectacular.
Family.
Nice.
Diverse.
Excellent.
Surprising.
Perfect.
Opportunity.
Fun.
Great.
Exhausting.
Inspiring.
Flexible. Excellent.
Awesome.
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 And welcome back to the Germantown campus of Montgomery College, where, as you can see, the Raptors exploded for 6 runs in the bottom of the third inning through a combination of walks and wild pitches and base running chicanery and
errors
and hits, and
they only got 3 hits in that inning and they scored 6 runs.
Right, so that's efficient. Kind of one of the watchwords of the day. So
yeah, so if you stepped away for an inning or a half inning, you missed a lot.
You missed a lot of fun. So Andy McWilliams now all of a sudden finds himself with a 6-run lead as he starts the top of the 4th. And the mantra has got to be strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. And he pops one into left, and that's an easy can of corn out there for Tyler Coleman. So that is 1 out. And that brings up number 32, Dante Key. He's a switch hitter.
One of the better hitters on the team for the Barons.
He was red hot on their Florida trip, 16 out of 31 when they were in Florida.
That is red hot.
But he's tailed off a little bit.
Ooh, that is trouble.
There as he hit that ball hard to center field.
Man, there's a lot of room out there.
There is a lot of room out there, and William Webb had no problem with it, had him played perfectly.
Wow.
Going to get another look at that one. He was right
Dante
on
Key
it.
was right on that. You're right. He was right on that. But he put a jolt in it, and he still had 20, 25 feet before it got to the fence.
And the wind is still at the moment. The flag is not going anywhere. So Key didn't get any help. But again, that ball came off the bat real hard. That brings up McGugan. He was the offensive star of the first game for the Barons as he had a home run and a single. Played well. He's catching in game number 2, so he's going to be a tired young man at the end of this game. And there's a strike. So 2 outs already for Andy McWilliams here in the top half of the 4th. And boy, as a head coach, that's what you like to see. Your team put up 6 and then have your pitcher come out. Ooh, boy, that had to hurt. And he didn't make a whole lot of effort to get out of the way either because they need base runners.
Yeah, that's taking one for the team.
Yeah.
But he didn't have very. He couldn't really go anywhere. He was kind of stuck right there, turning into the ball.
I'm not sure he wanted to get hit on the elbow. Oh man, that's gotta hurt. So runner on base now with 2 outs. And that brings up number 11, Pat Hayduck.
One thing about McWilliams is he's keeping the ball low, keeping the ball down.
Hayduck did not play in the first game, and he's in at first base here in the nightcap. Six to nothing Raptors.
That's up.
And he hits it off, kind of off the fist, high, and no problem at all for Tyler Coleman. So that is the 3rd out of the inning. So after 3.5 innings of play, the Raptors are on top 6 to nothing.
Another very professional. Andy McWilliams isn't trying to really do anything, just throwing strikes, letting them hit it, and here you go. You're already through 4.
Oh, and that's the perfect inning for Dan Rasher. You know, you don't want to see your team put up a 6 spot and then have your pitcher go out the next half inning and give up a couple and throw 40 pitches. It just kind of takes the wind out of your sails. And but Andy McWilliams did exactly what the doctor ordered there as he put the Burlington down, not 1, 2, 3, but in 4 batters, and very efficiently so. And as we look at that. Now that is the new Bioscience Center.
Yes, it
here
is.
on the campus of Montgomery College in Germantown. That is going to be a state-of-the-art facility, and we're not far from opening it. Is that
Not
correct,
far,
Marcus?
and you can't see it, but over the hill a little bit, the Holy Cross Hospital is almost about to be open. So there's a lot of expansion going on at Montgomery College, and all you have to do is come up to campus. It used to be the visual at the top of campus was the globe, which is actually a water tower. But now you have the Bioscience Center, you have Holy Cross Hospital, and it's all part of the Hercules Pinckney Life Sciences Park. And it's Montgomery College is really going state of the art when it comes to their facilities.
That's going to be some building, and I know the campus is very excited about it. And we love that shot there from our center field camera guy, Ed Clark. So
And the Clark construction sign was right there. No relation.
And I am corrected by our guru in the truck, Scott Youngblood. He tells me that was Garrett Quinn with that shot. Young Garrett. Scott's son, Garrett Quinn. So, leading off the inning for the Raptors, number 3, Tyler Coleman. He's had a nice game so far.
Are we even allowed to say Garrett Quinn's name, considering he doesn't he work for the White House?
He does have a top secret job at the White House.
I think his secret's out.
Yeah, he has a top secret job. I believe it's something to do with the Situation Room.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So, I won't say any more. I may have a knock on my door tonight.
If I'm doing the rest of the game by myself, you'll know what happened.
And there's another hit for Tyler Coleman, who's having a great game here. We have a new pitcher in for Burlington.
Frank Cerami.
Yep.
I think Frank played first base in the first game.
He did. 34. And Cerami has pitched 14 innings so far this season. Now, as opposed to a couple of the other Burlington pitchers, he has a 2.57 ERA.
He throws a little harder, too. You know, Ian Vela says he wants to steal 40 bases this year, but Tyler Coleman is getting on base all the time, and he might not beat Coleman for most stolen bases on his own team. I think we're going to have a little competition here.
And there's a line shot. Could be a potential double play, but no. Throw gets away. So Coleman alertly got back on the hard hit ball there by Nick Ponifala.
But I can't tell you how impressed I am with Coleman. Double, single, and he's hitting line drives.
And he's making all the plays in the outfield. So he's been right on it at the plate and in the field. So boy,
how good of a top of the lineup does this Raptors team have? Man. If you can get some of the power in the order coming around, you know, with Ponifala and Hanley, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is going to be a team to be reckoned with. But again, it's all about the pitching.
It's going to be something. And you know, Dan Rasher in his low-key way, you know, kind of dropped Tyler Coleman's name into the conversation. You know, not trying to put too much pressure on him. But I just got that sense from knowing Dan as well as I do for the last 9 years that was sort of a tip-off that, hey, this Tyler Coleman kid could be pretty special. And from what we've seen today, I've been very impressed. So Michael Kuda up now for the Raptors.
Michael's had a tough afternoon here in Game 2. He's strikeout, 0 for 2.
So he is due. And he fouls it back. Evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. Raptors on tops 6-0. They took the opener 10-4 on the strength of an 8-run bottom of the 5th. And in this game, the story so far is a 6-run bottom of the 3rd. Ooh, strike 3.
Wow.
So that is 3 strikeouts for Michael Kuda, and he does not look happy about that one.
Well, Cerami has a little pop on his fastball, and he set Kuda up with another breaking ball.
That brings William Webb up. He singled his last time up. So
yeah, Webb's been on twice. He got hit by a pitch in his first at bat, and then singled his last at bat.
So he is on base 2 times. That helps the old on base percentage. He's hitting .312, and he had a .450 on base percentage coming into the game. So he knows how to get on the base. Outside. Three and 0. On deck is Sean Spots. Webb takes a strike. Three balls, two strikes, two outs. Runner on first is Tyler Coleman. There's the pitch in the dirt, and it hits him. So we've seen several of those today where hit by batters, actually the ball almost in the dirt. Yep, got him right on the foot, on the lead foot there. So that puts two runners on now with two outs in the bottom of the fourth inning, and that brings up Sean Spots. And he hits the ground ball to second base, and he is safe at second.
You know, here we go again talking about, you know, the visiting club, but Mejia, you have Sean Spots. If you just take a look at Sean, he's not the speediest guy, and you didn't even have a play at second, but you went for the play at second. All you had to do was turn, and you're out of the inning, and they would have had Sean, you know, by 15 or 20 feet. Just scratch your head type of baseball.
No, because William Webb is a center fielder,
and he's fast.
He's a fast runner, and Mejia did not charge the ball. He waited for it to come to him. By the time he caught the ball, Webb was 5 feet from second base.
And he was practically past him. Just scratch your head baseball. It really is.
So that gives the Raptors a life, and Gerald Smith an opportunity here, and he hits the ball out into left field, and it's caught for the third out.
Wow.
So despite the error, Frank Cerami gets the Barons out of the inning. So after 4 complete innings of play, the Raptors are on top 6-0, and we're going to take a brief pause, and we'll be right back with the top half of the 5th inning after this. You are watching Montgomery College Baseball on MCTV.
No matter where you're headed, no matter what your age, you'll find it all here at Montgomery College. Small class sizes, over 130 programs of study. Nationally ranked NJCAA athletics. Register today.
Welcome back for the top half of the 5th inning, second game of our doubleheader. Montgomery College on top 6-0. They took the opener 10-4, so they are in prime position for a sweep. And Burlington is running out of opportunities, keeping in mind that at the NJCAA level, when you have a doubleheader, each game is only 7 innings. So this is the top half of the 5th. So just 3 more at-bats for Burlington, and they're sending up Chris Reyes to lead things off.
Yeah, you want somebody that looks the part of a third baseman, it's Chris Reyes.
Boy, that is a big fella there. And he's facing Andy McWilliams, who has sailed through 4 complete with very little trouble. And he starts him out with a ground ball to short. There's a long throw, and he got him. Nice play by Antonio Ortiz from deep in the hole.
Yeah, Reyes got down the line pretty well for a big guy.
He sure did. Made it a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. But it was a bit of a bouncer. And they had him by a stride. So 1 out. Nice camera work there as always. And that brings up number 14, Tyler Wolf.
And again, Andy McWilliams, 1 pitch, 1 out.
Boy, you can't ask for anything better than that.
Here it is, hit it.
And that pitch looked pretty good. Must have been a little bit inside.
And you know what, Michael? We have clouds rolling in.
First time all day we've seen anything in the sky other than beautiful blue. Nice stop there by Gerald Smith. And there we see the azure blue skies above Germantown.
And the lovely skyline of Germantown, Maryland. Oh, he walked him.
So that is a rare walk for Andy McWilliams.
What are you doing to us? We've been singing your graces.
And Antonio Ortiz comes in and says, no more of that.
All right, we'll let him have one.
All right, that brings up number 3, Gene Mejia, who's having a tough game out in the field at second base. He's a freshman, young guy, of course. Throw over to first. So this is the first time that Burlington's had 2 on since earlier in the game, and I'm sorry, I take that back. Just 1 on. My shot, my look is a little bit blocked. Raptors at double play depth.
Yeah, you know, it's good. Gerald's going out to talk to Andy. Just doesn't have the same vibe right now on the mound as he has in the first, 5 innings, or 4 innings, I should say.
Just relaxing him a little bit, I think. And don't try to be too perfect. Let him hit the ball. Your fielders are doing a great job behind you. So let's see if that visit pays dividends. And he falls behind 3-0 now. And there's a strike. 3 balls, 1 strike. Runner on first. It's Tyler Wolf at first base, being held by Sean Spots. And he lost him. So back-to-back walks now for Andy McWilliams. And looking over in the Raptors dugout, it's impossible for us to see the bullpen.
It's kind of funny, though. You and I do the same thing. He get 2 walks, and it's almost natural reaction. We turn to our left to see if Dan Rasher's doing anything, if he's pointing out there, get somebody throwing. Just to see what kind of leash he's going to give Andy McWilliams. I mean, Andy deserves a leash, but again, we don't know how many guys he wanted to throw today.
And we don't know how many pitches. We don't have a pitch count going on, Andy.
I would think he's pretty efficient.
Very.
But, he might. So Pino, from what we hear, Pino's warming up in the bullpen again. I think he was warming up in the first game as well. So he would probably be in line to take over for Andy McWilliams.
So number 6 at the plate for Burlington is Tim Kemmerly. And he's the third baseman. He hits a shot up the middle for a base hit, and that is going to score a run. As they cut the throw off, and Tyler Wolf scores the first run of the second game for Burlington, and now we see Dan Rasher coming out to the mound. And we'll see what he's got in mind as we see the base hit there by Kemmerly to drive in Wolf.
Nice hitting by Kemmerly, right back up the box. That's all he needed to do. And here you have first and second, one out, and the top of the order.
So Eddie Stiles and he's going to stay with Andy McWilliams. Like you said, he certainly deserves a leash, and he deserves the opportunity to try to get out of the jam that he's in right now. Runners on first and second, one out and one run in for Burlington. Top of the fifth inning as they have broken through.
And he has already qualified for the win, if I'm not mistaken, because this is only a 7-inning game.
Right. So he's in line for the win. And he's earned it. But he's got to try to get out of this jam.
And he's got to throw strikes.
And he's wide of the mark there, so quickly he's behind 2 balls and no strikes. And as we heard, Antonio Pino is warming up in the bullpen for the Raptors. And there's a strike on the outside corner. Pino has thrown 11 2/3 innings so far this season. He already has 2 wins and a save. So he's been in the thick of things. And there's a wild pitch, and Gerald Smith kind of comes up a little bit lame. May have turned his ankle going after the ball. That's definitely a wild pitch. Yeah, he kind of slipped and turned his ankle a little bit. So he's walking it off. And runners advance, so now we have runners on second and third, 3 balls, 1 strike, 1 out. Eddie Stiles at the plate. And there's strike 2.
Nice pitch.
So the count runs full. This is a key batter for Andy McWilliams. There's the pitch in the dirt, and it gets away, and that's going to score a run. And that makes it 6-2 now on the wild pitch, which is also a walk. So looking over in the Raptors dugout. So that was a walk to Stiles, and this is the second trip to the mound, so that is definitely going to be it for Andy McWilliams. So he pitches 4 1/3 innings, and like we said, is in line for the win. Nice job. Just lost it a little bit here in the second half, or the second half of the top of the fifth. We are going to take a brief break while we have a pitching change, and we'll be right back with more Raptors baseball action after this.
No matter where you're headed, no matter what your age, you'll find it all here at Montgomery College. Small class sizes, flexible scheduling, over 130 programs of study, award-winning faculty, nationally ranked NJCAA athletics. The possibilities are endless at Montgomery College. Register today.
One word to describe Montgomery College: awesome.
Interesting.
Fun.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Inspirational.
Spectacular.
Family.
Nice.
Diverse.
Excelling.
Surprising.
Perfect.
Opportunity.
Fun.
Great.
Exhausting.
Inspiring.
Flexible. Excellent.
Awesome.
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 welcome back to the Germantown campus of Montgomery College. We're in the top half of the fifth inning. Burlington has put 2 on the board here to cut the Raptors' lead to 6-2. We have a new pitcher on the hill and a new catcher. The new pitcher is Antonio Pino, and the new catcher is Jeff Stone, as Gerald Smith, we think, pulled a groin muscle there going after one of those wild pitches from Andy McWilliams earlier in the inning.
Yeah, he did something. I see him sitting over there with his pant leg up. Maybe, I don't know. It could have been a knee. I'm not sure. But Jeff Stone is definitely in for Gerald, and Antonio Pino and his somewhat unorthodox sidearm 3/4 slot. Not sure what you can call this delivery.
Well, Antonio Pino has pitched in 4 games so far, 11 2/3 innings. He has 2 wins, a save, and an ERA of 1.54.
Wow.
So
Some
pretty
impressive numbers.
Pretty impressive. Has 9 strikeouts to just 1 walk. And he hits it right up the middle, and it's off Pino, and he's got no play, as the ball was hit hard.
Didn't that hit him in the stomach?
Boy, it sure looked like it. We're going to take another look at that.
Oh, yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Came right up off the grass.
And good hustle there by Taylor Zachman.
You know, and there's some interesting hops on this baseball field, whether it be on the infield or in the outfield. It's just kind of the way it is around here.
Runners on first and second. And 3 runs in now as a run scored on that play. There's a ground ball to third, to second for 1, to first. Oh, he overthrew it, and that's going to allow another run to score. As Kuda's throw sailed high over the head of Sean Spots, and that brings in the 4th run for Burlington. So all of a sudden, a very comfortable 6-0 lead has been cut to 6-4. He had a little trouble with the transfer.
That ball really sailed on Kuda.
He was hurrying it because it looked to me like he didn't make a clean transfer from glove to throwing hand.
I don't think Michael Kuda's going to be one of the ones watching this game on YouTube.
Probably not.
Michael's had a tough afternoon.
Throw over to first. So that brings up John McGugan, who had a home run in the first game. And he's up now with man on first. And he clearly just wanted to get hit. So that is, he's hit by pitch, and he goes to first. That puts runners on first and second now with 2 outs. And brings up number 11, Patrick Haydock.
And this is Patrick Haydock is a guy that can hit the ball out of the ballpark. And if that happens, it's 7-6 Burlington.
So Michael Kuda trying to get out of this jam, preserve the lead for the Raptors, and also preserve the win for Andy McWilliams. And there's a foul back.
That's a nice pitch by Pino. The ball that stays down.
He does not throw particularly hard. He has an interesting arm slot.
Yeah, and the angle that the ball comes at you from a right-handed batter is really probably where he's getting the majority of his strikeouts.
Yeah,
I mean, that looks nice coming in if you're a lefty. And there's an interesting change. I'm not sure that was even the change, but it's just it's something off speed.
And he looks the runner back to second. Kuda is a Quince Orchard High School grad and a business major. There it is. Ground ball right back to him. Should be an easy play at first, and it is. And that brings the half inning to an end. as Burlington puts up 4 to cut the Raptor lead to 6-4 after 4.5 innings of play. So Michael Kuda comes in.
Pino really.
I'm sorry, Pino.
Yeah,
comes in.
Pino came in and did a good job. I guess stem the tide, if you would. Now he's going to put on a helmet and bat second in this inning. And it was Kuda that made the throwing error that pretty much prolonged the inning.
So the Raptors give 4 back, but Andy McWilliams is still in line for the victory, thanks to the work of Mr. Pino.
And Mr. Pino would get the save if he finishes the game out.
Be his second save of the season. Whether he'll finish the game out remains to be seen. The Barons will have 2 more at-bats, at least, and we shall see. Meanwhile, Frank Cerami stays in on the hill for the Barons, and leading off against him will be number 22, Antonio Ortiz, who's played a nice shortstop here in our nightcap. And Cerami came in and did a nice job in relief of Pantaleone in the last half inning. So he's staying out there. Hard thrower.
Not many times you get to see Antonio and Antonio one after the other here in a baseball lineup, not to mention 2 and 22.
There you go. There's something cosmic about that.
Right.
I mean, the stars are aligning here. So we'll see if we can't get something to happen. There's a bunt, and it goes foul. So Ortiz trying to get on via the bunt. This bat he's using, I'm getting the feeling, is a favorite bat of a lot of guys on the team. It seems about half the team is using this bat. So whoever owns it should be charging rental.
And one of the things that you can work on in a gym, and you know that the Raptors have been practicing in the gym since January 9th, is bunting. And they've laid down a few pretty good bunts this afternoon.
Foul ball, and it's out of play. As our ace camera guy on the first baseline, Corey Wallace, had a great shot. Tip of the cap today to all our camera folks. They are doing a great job, and let me tell you, it is a hard job to be on your feet all for 2 games, back to back, paying attention. Your attention cannot waver, your concentration cannot waver, and they are doing a fabulous job.
Yeah, you're right. We got the easy job. We sit here all day.
That's right. They make us look good. There's a hard shot right at Mejia for out number 1. 1 up, 1 down, and that brings in Antonio Pino. And he's been on the bases, it seems like, all day long. Beautiful day for baseball here in Germantown. The first really nice spring Sunday we've had.
I got 3 inches of snow last Sunday in Damascus.
I tell you, last Sunday was one of the ugliest days I can remember. I mean, it was bad weather all day long. And there's a ground ball up the middle. Shortstop makes the play. Long throw, and they got him. So Stiles puts away the speedy Pino, and that brings up Joe Coleman now with 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Yeah, Pino did make that a close play at first base, didn't
Yeah,
he?
he hustled down the line.
He's got some scoop.
Well, Dan Rasher told me before the season, he said, we've got good speed. These guys are great athletes, and they're in good shape. Ball inside. One ball, one strike. 2 outs. Bottom of the 5th. Game 2 of our doubleheader. And that's outside, ball 3. Check that, that's ball 2. And that's low. Joe Coleman, one of the returners, one of the just 6 returners from last year's World Series team. And of course, that's always the goal for the Montgomery College baseball program, is to advance to the NJCAA World Series. This year it'll be back in Tyler, Texas, but next year it moves to the East Coast, to North Carolina.
Yes. Kinston, North Carolina, which is the home of a minor league baseball team.
And Joe Coleman takes strike 3. So that is the 3rd out in the bottom of the 5th inning. The Raptors scoreless in that half. So after 5 complete, the Raptors on top of the Barons 6-4. And, you know, we've been talking all day about baseball. And we have mentioned a couple of the other sports. And, of course, Montgomery College participates in, I believe it's 8 NJCAA sports. So if you want to stay on top of what's happening, not only with baseball, but all the other sports that MC competes in, you want to check out the new and improved athletics website at montgomerycollege.edu/Raptors. You'll find rosters for all the teams, team and individual photos, video highlights, game schedules, results, contact information for every coach, and video, and you name it, it's on there.
There's a lot on there. Anything you need to find, upcoming games, past games, links to the Maryland JUCO site, the NJCAA site, even there's a compliance and eligibility key. And, of course, you have your keys to social media where you want to go to YouTube, Facebook. Everything is there. And some shout-outs to the people who do a great job. Michael Simone, who does athletics coordination in Tacoma Park Silver Spring campus, but he does a lot with keeping that going. Mark Balea in IT was one of the main cogs in getting this up, as well as Lisa Burrell, the marketing director at Montgomery College. Everybody, it's always a team effort when you're talking Montgomery College, but that website really did a great job. They really did a great job of improving that website and, you know, sort of getting it in line with the launch of this new Raptor when that came along back in November.
That was a great day, the day the Raptor was revealed, November 19th. I'll always remember that as Reyes leads off here against Pino. And, it is a team effort. And it's just like a production like today is a team effort. Putting that website together, which is so great. What an improvement. Oh, my gosh, it's like night and day. And that was a total team effort. And I got to say, there was a lot of input from certain people on the MCTV staff as well. One name comes to mind, but he told me I'm not allowed to mention his name.
Well, I'll pay your dues when they charge you for it.
Okay, so Scott Youngblood.
Scott Youngblood is the ultimate team player, and he's taken on a leadership role, and he's really leading the charge here from this MCTV staff, and what a great leader to serve under.
That is for sure. So here's Reyes.
And he loves his Orioles.
He does love his Orioles.
Oriole fever, catch it.
All you got to do is walk near Scott Youngblood, and you'll catch Oriole.
You know, and it's amazing how many people catch Oriole fever, and a lot of them still survive.
You know I'm an Oriole fan sitting here. I may not bleed orange like Scott Youngblood, but I'm pretty close. And there's a foul ball.
Reyes is hanging tough here.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Yeah, he's making.
You know, his open stance that he has, where his left leg's a little bit in front, that's going to help him out a bit when he's facing this side armor coming at him, because he actually can get a better view with that open stance.
Yeah, and he just lined a hard shot down the first baseline, just foul. So he is he's making him work. And he gets him to go outside,
nice
going
pitch.
fishing. Smart piece of pitching there by Pino. So that is 1 out, and that brings up Tyler Wolf, who scored last inning. He walked and scored. It was the leadoff walk from Andy McWilliams, which kind of was the beginning of the end for Andy's time on the mound.
Wow, talk about a couple of big innings today for the Raptors, huh?
Boy.
8 spot and a 6 spot.
Yep. Boy, there's a slow curve.
Yeah, that had a little something on it. Wow.
But you're right. 2 big innings have been the story of the day for the Raptors.
This kid Pino reminds me of a little like a mini Jeff Nelson, where the ball looks like it's going down the third base line, and then it comes right back.
Little bouncer to Kuda, and he comes in, charges hard, and makes the play for the 2nd out of the inning. So good defense there. And we'll get a good look at this one. And Pino wisely gave up on the ball because he knew Kuda was charging, and had the better angle on the play. So good teamwork, good communication. That's a communication thing out on the field there. So Mejia up with 2 outs here in the top of the 6th.
And you know, we talk about how young this team is and how we only have 6 returners out here and 1 returning pitcher. You know what that means for next year? That means they're going to be, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with.
That's exactly what I was thinking last night as I was going through our notes, and I said, boy, and he gets them to come back. It's not like in some sports where a lot of them will leave after the first year.
Right.
It's just the way it is at the 2-year level. But a lot of Dan's players play both their seasons, and if he gets this group back next year, with the way he recruits, they're going to be tough. And he gets Mejia swinging for the 3rd out of the top of the 6th as Pino does a nice job.
Nice job. Boy, this thing just sailed out of the strike zone.
And he went fishing and missed it by quite a ways. So.
Well, you mentioned the players stay here 2 years, but why would you leave? Because you can leave with an associate's degree, and I'll tell you what, with completion and the completion agenda being such a big part of what this institution is all about, leaving with an associate's degree is something that nobody will ever be able to take away from you. And it's a proven fact. You don't have to go anywhere beyond that associate's degree, but the people with an associate's degree, I mean, it's a proven fact that financially for the rest of your life, you are, the numbers don't lie. You will make more in your life with that quote-unquote piece of paper. Now, of course, we want our students to go with their associate's degree, and then you go to a 4-year school and you spend 2 years at a 4-year school and you have your bachelor's. But it's it's a great way to get your higher education, career started.
That is for sure. It's certainly affordable, and it's really a great way to get all your basic requirements out of the way and then graduate and then move on to a 4-year school. And, of course, Dan Rasher has had great success in that. It's just an amazing track record with keeping student athletes eligible and then having them move on to four-year schools. And so many of them get scholarships.
And we have such awesome matriculation agreements with the Maryland schools, the university system in Maryland. If you get your 2-year degree, you get automatic admission to the 4-year schools here in the Maryland school system.
So here is really one of the offensive stars of the game, Tyler Coleman, leading off. And he's been on base every time up, if I am not mistaken.
Yeah, he's 3 for 3 today.
And made all the plays in the field. And so he's facing Cerami here, who's done a nice job.
Oh, yeah, he calmed things down when he took the place of Pantaleone.
Yeah, he stemmed the bleeding and has sailed through the last couple of innings unscathed. So here we are in the bottom of the 6th in a 2-run ball game. The Raptors would like nothing more than to tack 1 or 2 insurance runs on here. And there's Coleman giving that one a ride, and that hits the wall. That's going to be an easy stand-up double for Tyler Coleman. So wow. Tyler Coleman,
boy,
4 for 4.
Talk about seeing the ball, huh?
Wow.
Man, I want this kid on my fantasy team.
Man, has such a sweet swing.
Double, single, single, double.
2 doubles, 2 singles, scored a couple of runs, so he's been in the thick of things, plus made all the plays in the outfield. So
and you know, with a swing like that and that like that power alley, that power or gap power, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
You know, by next year,
that ball could be going out of the ballpark.
You know, him bulking up a little bit, oh, that ball could be flying out of here.
Oh, no, you can look at his physique and tell that he's going to fill out.
Yep.
And get bigger and stronger. And you see the evidence of that with a lot of the guys who are now in their second year. The 6 guys, every one of them looks different physically.
Kozarski was one of them that we noticed early today.
Yep, and I noticed Andy McWilliams looked a lot more robust.
And there's Tyler Coleman stealing third base. So Mr. Velez has to get on his horse this year if he's gonna win the stolen base crown for the Raptors.
As he steals a base easily, and now he's just 90 feet away from tacking on an important insurance run.
Yeah, that could be a big run.
It definitely could be. And there's Ponifala. Nope.
Oh, he got him.
He got him. And that is a base running blunder.
Yeah, he really got him. Yep.
When the ball's hit out in front of you like that, you've got to hold. And he just he strayed a little far. And he definitely got him. And he's not happy about that. And neither is his head coach. I guarantee you that.
That's for sure.
So Ponifala's at first. Here's Gus Gill. And Ponifala was almost at second, but for a very nice save.
Yeah, I think Coleman was having this perfect day, just getting a little bit out in front of him a bit.
Yep.
Doubling again, stealing third, and the wheels start turning again as soon as you hear the crack of the bat, and then oops.
Almost any other place that ball goes, he's fine doing what he did. But the ball was right there in front of him at third base, and the third baseman alertly turned and got him. Tim Kemmerly over at third. All right, Gus Gill is due. Takes ball. 2 balls, no strikes. Bottom half of the 6th inning. Again, because we are playing a doubleheader, we're in a 7-inning format for each game. So Burlington will have one more chance to tie or take the lead. Gus Gill inside. 3 balls and 1 strike. Ponifala not really a threat to steal at first. And McGill gives it a ride out to left center. The center fielder has it. So that's the second out of the inning, and that definitely would have scored a run from third base.
You're right about that.
Without question. So that brings up, and we're going to take another look at that. Gus Gill gave it a pretty good ride.
Hopefully it doesn't come back to haunt the Raptors. But you're right, that is definitely something that's, that Coach Rasher is going to talk about. It may seem like a little play. You're up 6-4, you're one more at bat away from, from taking a doubleheader. But if you end up, one thing happens and you end up losing 7-6, and there's reasons, there's reasons why you lose, and it's things like that. But again, these are lessons. This is why Dan Rasher is an excellent coach.
It's a teaching moment, that is for sure. And coaches relish those. And Dan is definitely a teacher as well as a coach. And he does it the right way. And there's a strike. So he is Cerami is now ahead in the count. No balls, 2 strikes. 2 outs. William Webb at the plate. And he stays alive. Got to protect the plate. Cerami done a fine job out there for Burlington. There's a ground ball down third baseline, and it's foul.
Well, it's nice to see Burlington bounce back.
Yes, it is.
After giving up that 6-run spot.
And that is a strikeout throw him out there, and that ends the 6th inning. So the Raptors maintain their 2-run lead, and after 6 complete, it's the Raptors 6, the Barons 4, and we'll be right back with the top half of the 7th inning after this. You're watching Montgomery College Baseball on MCTV.
No matter where you're headed, no matter what your age, you'll find it all here at Montgomery College. Small class sizes, over 130 programs of study. Nationally ranked NJCAA athletics. Register today.
And welcome back to the Germantown campus of Montgomery College. We see a beautiful shot of the field there, and we are in the top half of the 7th inning, what could be the last at bat here for Burlington, as they are down 6-4, and Antonio Pino on the mound trying to pick up the save in relief of Andy McWilliams. And the first batter up for the Barons is number 6, Tim Kemmerly. Made a nice play in the last half inning defensively to save a run for Burlington. So 6-4, top half of the 7th inning. Again, for those of you who may have joined us late, we are in the second game of our doubleheader. The Raptors took the first game 10-4. They lead here in the second game 6-4, and because we are playing a doubleheader today, each game is just 7 innings, not 9 innings. So this is in effect the top of the 9th.
Certainly is. And Mr. Pino is going for his second save of the season.
Be his second save of the season, and this is he's beginning his 3rd inning of work. And another tough pitch on the inside for a strike. So he's quickly ahead in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. He took over for Andy McWilliams in the top half of the 4th. McWilliams had sailed through the first 3 innings, ran into, he took over in the top of the 5th as he gets Kemmerly on a strikeout. So that is 1 out here.
That was a nice pitch. I mean, he painted the outside corner. You know, regardless if that was 6 inches or so off the plate, he hit the glove exactly where Jeff Stone was lining up.
Yep.
You know, and he hit it. And most of the time when you hit the glove, you're going to get the call.
And he loves that outside corner as he goes out there again.
You know, the thing is about Pino is he could set you up where he has that kind of that slow-moving breaking ball that starts way over to the third base side and comes back in on the inner half of the plate. But then he sets you up.
Pop up.
With the regular fastball on the outside half of the plate.
Shortstop Ortiz gathers it in, and that's 2 quick outs here in the top half of the 7th inning. And that leaves it in the hands of number 1, Taylor Zachman. So Taylor Zachman, the last opportunity here, and strike 1. So he is the last and best hope for Burlington, who've traveled down here from Pemberton, New Jersey today, and haven't been treated very kindly.
That's going to be a long ride back up to New Jersey.
Now, and having spoken to their head coach, Scott Kanazik, between games, he was unhappy after Game 1. So if they should end up on the short end of the stick here in Game 2, and he hits Zachman, and that will extend the inning, as Zachman goes to first, and that brings up their best hitter, number 32.
It's the last thing that Pino wanted to do.
No, that was absolutely not in the plan. That was not intentional by any means.
And you have the best hitter on the team coming up. So don't put the cameras away yet.
Nope. Dante Key hit the hard ball to second. Kuda to first for the 3rd out. Nice play by Kuda on a hard hit ball. So, as we see the Raptors come off the field, shaking hands, looking happy. They should be happy. They have swept today's doubleheader. They won the first game 10-4, and they won the second game 6-4 over Burlington. We see the teams lining up. This is one of my favorite things, is we like to see the good sportsmanship at the end of the game. Of course, one team is always smiling, and one team is not smiling so much.
Well, Coach Rasher has respect for this Burlington club and Coach Kanazik, so we'll probably see them around the next couple of years.
Well, they played a much better ball game in the second game, and I'm with you. I'm glad to see that they did pull it together after a rough inning there in the bottom of the 3rd. The story of this game is the bottom of the 3rd inning. The Raptors scored 6 runs on just 3 hits to take a 6-run lead after a scoreless 2.5 innings, and then they just held on to win it 6-4. The winning pitcher in the second game is going to be Andy McWilliams. He went 4 1/3, and Antonio Pino will get the save. In the opening game, the Raptors won 10-4. The winning pitcher is going to be Nick Panafala, and he pitched in relief of
John Maloney.
John Maloney in the first game to pick up that win. So a good day for the Raptors. Dan Rasher and his coaching staff have got to be very pleased as the Raptors win a doubleheader over D2. Keep in mind, they're a D2 team. They're a higher division team than the Raptors, so it's a doubleheader sweep, and that's 2 doubleheader sweeps in 2 days.
That's a heck of a weekend for Coach Dan Rasher's young Montgomery College Raptors. And as you can see here, now you have the players doing their customary finishing up of the field. They're doing some groundskeeping, as is the custom here at Montgomery College, where the players really do a fine job on doing the facilities aspect of our baseball fields, both in Rockville and in Germantown. So you got to hand it to these young men who really, not only do they play on the field, they come and they clean it up after.
And it doesn't make any difference whether you're a star on this team or you're a guy who doesn't play very much. You're going to be out there on that field tending to the ground.
And
that's just part of the tradition here.
That's the way it is at Montgomery College.
So, once again, from the Germantown campus of Montgomery College, the Montgomery College Raptors take both ends of the doubleheader from the Burlington County College Barons, winning the first game 10-4 and taking the nightcap 6-4. And so for Marcus Rosano and all the very, very hard-working folks on the MCTV production crew, we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast of MC Raptors Baseball. And thanks so much for watching, everybody.